Hi, I'm Nan Simmons, and I'm a nationally board certified health and wellness coach and have spent, well, going on 7 years now, that amount of time working with a lifestyle medical practice. And I am what I've learned from that practice as it relates to my health determination. Lifestyle medical doctors don't treat a patient by asking what a symptom is and then right away prescribing and giving a procedure um, order. They actually spend time asking, how is their sleep? How is their movement? Are they communicating and connecting with others? What are they eating? And these things are done. The College of Lifestyle Medicine uh, which has pillars of health that then are checked off by the doctor with the patient, also prescribes, there's a funky hair there, prescribes a whole food plant-based diet as the one that is best for people and the planet. And that's what I've been doing since just before joining the practice. So it's into my 7th year now. Well, I was inspired by something I heard by somebody that I've been paying attention to. And Sandra Hart is now 85 years old. I'll be 74 in less than 2 months, in about a month and a few days. And I think 85 is, well, it's what, 12 years more than I am right now. It'll be 11 years more than I'll be in a month or so. Am I doing my math right? I'm terrible at math, but I think that's true. And I think to myself, wow, that's a lot of years to keep it all going, to keep it all up, to keep health and vibrancy and joy. And I'll listen to what somebody who is 85 says about the most powerful tips she's had in the past 6 years regarding health and happiness. So the way this came about is that she had her son and daughter-in-law and two young children, toddlers, at her home for a while, for a week visiting. And she didn't have a chance to come up with the theme for her weekly talk. They were on Sundays and they varied to different days, but she comes on once a week on a podcast and does relatively short, subject-driven talks. And she said her daughter-in-law gifted her with what we then saw in the video, and she had gone back 6 years of Sandra's weekly programs and came up with a compilation of what she thought were some of the most poignant uh, recommendations for happiness and health. And she put it together, and that's what we watched. And it was 20 minutes, which is even longer than is typical. But I watched it and I found myself taking notes and writing like crazy because I loved what I heard. And something like this can be inspiring. So these were her thoughts. Some will have nothing to do with the way you think or act or feel, and it will just go right on by. But some of these are going to hit home and they're going to be just what you hear. And there were several I thought, okay, Nan, that's a good one. I've got to keep this one and put a star by it. So I'm simply going to go through them. But what I'm going to recommend you do, because I want to promote Sandra Hart, not that she is desperate for it. In the 6 years, it might be 7, because this particular broadcast was 7 months ago. And I think now it's been the turn of a year. In this 6 or 7 years, she's been doing her podcast. She now has 600, well, 599, I'm rounding it up, 600 subscribers on her channel for an 85-year-old woman. That is really something. A bit of her history. She was an actress. She was, I don't remember the name, that she was Miss Somebody or Other on Romper Room, so I probably watched her. Um, and she's been in over 20 feature films. She's written several books. She's been on Broadway in plays. She was on a series of CSI and CSI New York. And so she's been in the film industry and the acting industry. She's an author, she's a speaker, and now she's a podcaster, simply giving words of wisdom as her years go by. Um, and I hope you enjoy what you're going to hear. But what I was going to recommend is that you look in the description, look at the link for this talk, because I'll give you the salient points, maybe the title, and then the salient points, or I may leave that for you to expand further by going and to this link and watching the video for yourself. What's fun about it is that you'll see her through the years, because as she says, you'll see my hair short and long. You'll see my hair frizzy and styled. Her hair is a little like mine, but it's white, as mine would be if I'd leave it alone. Okay, let's do this. Um, okay. So we'll start with, and these are, again, her thoughts, so take it as you will. Give up bad habits, those that are affecting your life negatively. When I thought about that, I thought, man, I've got so many good habits I'm putting in, but I just developed a new one. I found something that looked like I could have it as a simple snack. And it's GFB is the title of, is the I'll say acronym, but I don't know if it's really a acronym, but GFB stands for Gluten-Free Brothers brand. And they do a lot of what looks like a whole food plant-based kind of thing. And they quite often, well, in one of their products, it's these balls rolled in any given nut, peanut or almond, and little snacks. 50, 60 calories for one of them, 5 grams of protein. Well, if you eat two, it's 5 grams of protein. So they're somewhat innocuous, but I've come to really like them. And I'm thinking that might be a bad habit, because I was doing fine on Dr. Goldner's Son's chocolate bites, which are nothing but a banana and cocoa formed into, and I put them in little candy molds, little candy papers that are then molded into a square, and eating that with some tea after a meal, doing fine. That was a banana and not cocoa, but cacao. And now I've graduated to this, and it's becoming a bad habit. I will, okay, Nan, just say it out loud. I had two today for lunch. I've never had two. That's dangerous. So I'm thinking, and this is a ridiculous example, but it is a real one. Um, think of something that is a bad habit. It could be smoking, it could be overeating, it could be drinking, it could be using shopping to quell anxiety. It could be anything. In this case, I'm talking about these little snacks, but there's a reason she says give up a bad habit. If they're affecting your life negatively or on their way to doing so, consider that. Do the right things for your healthy, or do the right things for your healthy life and for your loved ones. In other words, do them understanding the benefit. Ask yourself, am I being led by love, love of job, love of person, love of situation, love of myself, or am I being led by the fear of the unknown? In other words, change and discomfort. That's an interesting one. Do the right things for your health, yourself, and those you love. Do what is right, not what is easy. Then I thought, okay, what's an example of that? Well, fortunately, I happen to be married to a man who likes the healthy way of living. He goes out without any thought at 5 in the morning and exercises an hour by walking up a mountain. He also likes to walk every night after dinner. I love both of those, except that I am not going up the mountain, I'm cycling. It's easier on my previously inflamed torn meniscus knee, which has really quieted down because of Dr. Goldner's goodbye lupus protocol, but I'm not pushing it. Well, the night walks. There are times where he's going to do it no matter what. And there are times it would be so much easier to say, you go ahead and go. It's a half an hour. And we go at maybe 7:30, 7:15, 7:30. So it's a while after dinner. Um, Good exercise to end the evening, great on digestion, good for blood sugar regulation, good for every reason that we go. And it would be easy to say, nah, I don't think I'll go tonight, instead of doing the right thing, which I know is important to our health. Again, just a little example. Keep a positive a positive mindset in all things that we think about. We are what we think. A glass half full or a glass half empty is a good example of the positive or negative way of looking at things. If the glass is always half empty, your life will always feel half empty. See and expect a positive outcome in all things. That's great advice, and it's easy to respond to that in a offhand way. Yeah, but you don't know my problems. Well, there are so many people with so much to deal with that have still found a way to look at whatever there is that's the bright side, or the bright side of something else that can outweigh the negatives in a situation that we simply can't change. Know and accept that it is very difficult to go through losing someone or a relationship or any type of loss. It can feel like a part of you has died. The first part of grief is denial, then anger and depression. It's all part of the grief process. Finally, you'll come to accept the loss and understand that now you need to move forward. Life will be good again, just different. She, a year and a half ago, I believe it was, lost her husband of, well, a lifetime. And then within a year, she lost a beloved pet of hers. And they really rocked her. And she admits, I didn't go through the process well because I continued, not in this video, but I've heard her talk about this. Because she continued to fight the process. So she was speaking to us as someone who's been through it, someone who got knocked around by it. Know and accept that it is very difficult to go through losing somebody or something. And I know that 14 years ago, it could have been yesterday, because I still think about him. See, I'll get choked up every day. Man, my husband of 40 years passed away of esophageal cancer, and we knew it was going to happen. He was diagnosed, it was terminal. He went on home hospice, and we knew it. And yet it was very, very hard to say goodbye. And yes, it took time. And yes, I came through it. And I just talked about my husband. Well, he was somebody I met a couple years later. So life does go on, just different. Don't sweat the small stuff. After many years, and this is her speaking, after many years as a worrier, she realized, I could say I realized if I were speaking in her stead, that worry is such a useless emotion. And to use our attention in this way is a waste and a drain of energy. Let worry go. Save these concerns and save your energy for the big things in your life, and don't sweat the small stuff. Again, it's easy to say, harder to do, but it is so easy to worry all the time about things that we can't change. There are plenty of things that are demanding of our concern because of the enormity. And again, She says, let the little stuff go. Look at your life in such a way, she says, that you believe in positive outcomes. The worry or the belief in a positive outcome has no guarantee, but one is so much better for us than the other. Then she says, there are times when we women of a certain age feel invisible, typically 60 years old and beyond. Men and society can seem to focus on the young and treat us as if we are invisible. We then must come to know ourselves as high value women. Now, this is interesting. I love this word, this phraseology, a high value woman. And then she sets out to define principles, to outline principles of what we could do to then define ourselves as a high value woman. A high value woman knows her worth. We know who we are and what we have to offer. A high value woman loves and respects herself. She doesn't accept less than she deserves in life. She's willing to walk away if not treated properly. A high value woman is self-aware. Is self-aware and empathetic. She has very high emotional intelligence and knows the powers of her words on others. And this is very similar. A high value woman knows the power of being kind and compassionate always. She shows compassion in words and actions, always considering the feelings of others, helping others feel better in their own lives is something that comes naturally to her. A high value woman is grounded in maturity. She doesn't need to play games. She doesn't need to manipulate others to get what she wants. She is true to herself and true to others. A high value woman is not afraid to speak her mind. When she speaks, she knows it comes from a place of honesty, vulnerability, and authenticity. A high value woman takes care of herself and her appearance. She's conscious of how she dresses and how she carries herself. And she's conscious of her emotional and physical well-being. She shows herself and others the respect she feels for herself. She feels that she is living her best life every day. Okay, those were her principles of a high value woman. I like the idea that and this was her point, when we in some way feel disregarded or unimportant, or I'll use her word, invisible, that we can remember, I'm a high value woman, and tick off those boxes that we know are true to what it would take to be somebody that is held in that kind of esteem. Regularly ask yourself, if this day is getting you closer to the type of life you want to lead and the person that you want to be, what would the perfect day look like for you? What would that perfect life, not perfect in imperfections, but just getting you as close to what you envision as you can? Consider who you spend time with. Hang out with uplifting and positive people living the kind of life that you want. We will absorb negativity or we will absorb love of life. Are you a to be or a to do person? She says the to be person is putting importance into accolades and applause. I'm looking for you to notice who I am, what I am, based on my, well, I'll say showmanship. A to-do person is actively doing, being results oriented, achieving and getting results that make a difference in their life as well as the lives of others. She says, I like to be a to-do person. We must figure out what is really important to us. If you know, you will be better able to decide the direction that you want to take in all things. This helps us find the real balance and helps us sift out what matters and what doesn't, and where we put our attention. And then her last words here. And in all of these, again, she filled in this outline 20 minutes. And that's why I'd like to recommend that you consider watching it and just listening to the additional descriptives that she puts under each of these. And then finally, she says, and I even capitalized this because she was emphatic. You must exercise, move on purpose daily, go out of your way to move. She has an app on her phone that even tells her to get up if she's been sitting too long. She loves walking. She encourages everybody to go out of their way to walk distances that you wouldn't otherwise by inconveniencing yourself with things like parking farther away rather than close to a store, deciding that something you're going to do or get, you're going to do or get by walking to a location, etc. Find an excuse to move in any way you can. Walk, move, experience the joy, and enjoy the endorphins. And that's it. I wanted to do an overview of those very simple thoughts. They served her and put her in good stead. Somebody who is admired to the degree that she has such an active following, and somebody who on a regular basis is looking for what we want some direction on, and then puts her thoughts behind it and is willing to share. So thank you for listening. Again, I'm Nan Simonson. I wrote Aging Powerfully. These were my words behind what I learned as a lifestyle, as medicine, a lifestyle medical coach, and what I learned from, experiencing some things in the beginning that actually gave me more stamina and more power as I aged. And then I outline in the word powerfully 10 lifestyle modalities that have been shown to give us more vibrant health, balance, and joy. Subscribe if you liked what you heard. Give me a thumbs up, share it, and have a great day because I know I'm going to. Bye-bye.